Hello and welcome to the Rugby Rundown in a special. Yes, this week it is, of course, the CRAA D1A Men semi-finals coming up. None other than St Mary's taking on Cal and Life taking on Lindenwood. Two massive games, and we thought after the great success we had on the Rugby Rundown a couple of weeks ago talking about these college playoffs, we wanted to bring back on the show Alex Goff from the Goff Rugby Report, the absolute veteran, the expert when it comes to college rugby. Alex, hello again. You're back.
Hi.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. How you doing?
Great to be back. I'm doing great. I mean, it's playoff time, and we're having a great time seeing some surprises. So it's fantastic.
Now, you can probably tell that I am on the road at the moment. I'm in a little bit of a dark hole, but don't worry, Alex. I'm still very much focused on these semi-finals coming up. It's been a joy to see some of the rugby that's happened from the quarterfinals the other week, and then that road to Indy, of course, the final on May 3rd. A quick one from you, though, when we look back at the quarterfinals. Talk to me just overall, plenty of points scored, a couple of really narrow losses. It shows that we're down really to the final four and the top four teams in the country.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk the last couple of years about the competitiveness of D1A, and I think, I mean, it's borne out for the most part here. You saw in ultimately close scores all the way through. Who thought that really that Army would get within a point? Really had a shot to beat Life. They weren't given a lot of hope there, really. I thought that tactically, Lindenwood, you know, they were pretty comfortable just playing defense. But the big thing for them in that game was so many tries by Navy come off mauls. So just don't give up penalties. Don't even bother going for a jackal at all. Really, let's just tackle, reset, and spend all day doing that. And that worked out for them. I think they only got pinged maybe 4 times, a very small number of penalties. So that was one of the keys to them stopping Navy from scoring. And then on the other side, on the other coast, we had 200 points, more than 200 points between the two games. Yeah, so insane. But that's, you know, these are teams that will attack from anywhere. And you saw that thing with St Mary's where sometimes they can kind of switch off a little bit, and against a team like Central Washington, this is a fantastic Central Washington team, could have won that game. And then I think Cal was going to win that game against Arizona, but certainly the work, you can't win games, 74-45 every week, right? Your work on would be get that 45 down, wouldn't it be?
100%. I mean, you've recapped that perfectly in what went on in this quarterfinals, and just to say those scorelines: Life beating Army 18 points to 17. It was a Bradley Crane kind of late penalty that did it for Life as they went through. We had them. If we want to go back to our bracket, our crystal ball bracket, we did say Life would make it. We didn't say Lindenwood would make it. Lindenwood won that one 10 points to 3. It was a Duncan Krieger try, the charge down. That was the only try of the game, winning 10 points to 3 in the East. And then on the West side of things, you've mentioned rightly, Cal really outmuscling, outdoing, outplaying Arizona in a comfortable 74-45 against Arizona, and then St Mary's beating Central Washington 53 points, to 48. So we are left now with this final four. And I think in this show, we wanted to give this kind of preview, this little bit of an insight into what to expect. Of course, both matches coming up on the Rugby Network this weekend, this Saturday. Do not miss it. Alex, I want to start in the East because these two teams, you've got one in Life who we did predict would go all the way. They were certainly the number one seeded in the East with some real quality in their team, in particular their number 10. Bradley Crane, I've got to say, from what I've seen, is a pretty complete package, not just in his attacking game, his kicking game in particular as well. What do you make overall? What are maybe some key players in Life that it makes them so good and ultimately probably the favourites going into this Lindenwood match?
Well, I think that Adam Chadwick up front, their hookers had a fantastic season, and you know, the old line out and maul is working well for them, very much so. Crane is going to be a Schultz finalist, or is a Schultz Award finalist. I think definitely deserved, because he he controls that attack, but really the counter attack, which has been
Yes.
pretty fantastic with Simamane and Rose and all these guys that are that he just uses. So Crane can burn you, but really it's more about and Araujo at scrum half, who runs great support lines. It's more about him worrying. You worry about him, and then he finds his weapons and burns you that way.
They also will have home advantage. Obviously, that turf field is massive. And now, almost looking at Lindenwood, they're coming off the back of, I said it already, this dogfight against Navy. They don't mind being in the mud. They don't mind being in the wet. Might be very different coming this Saturday. Jeremy Zwick, the number 9, you've been impressed. You mentioned him in the last show. He's a really quality operator, and you've got to have someone like that, especially if you are, in scrappy games, having your 9 marshalling the troops. And then the other one who really, really has impressed me now is Duncan Krieger. I mean, forgive me if I'm maybe saying that surname wrong, but the number 6, again, he's a dog. And you need that in. And there's something about this Lindenwood team. I loved the fact that we did on a show last week about victory songs, and Lindenwood's Lionland song has now gone everywhere, and we appreciate them sending it to us after their win against Navy.
Like the lions of old, we're strong and we're bold, and we're from Lion, gold and black, and we're from Lion.
What is it that Lindenwood are going to have to do to win against the odds against Live?
Well, they will fight, and I don't think that it wasn't just a dogfight last week; it was a dogfight against Arkansas State as well. Also, lousy weather, everything like that. I think weather good on a dry track. They've actually been waiting for this moment. They have a bunch of plays in their back pocket. They can unleash a second row that can move. Edwin Kierden, who is their number 8, usually plays lock as well. Very good open field player as well. So their secret, not so secret, is that their forwards can move in the open field.
Yeah. No, what I love is I know as well that Josh Macy, he's such a people's person as well when it comes to coaching. They're going to be fired up, and they'll love being the underdogs going into this game. I do believe that. But before we go to the West, what do we honestly feel? I feel like if Lindenwood can maybe slow the play down, if they can maybe get the ball off the field, defend from set piece, don't allow that to counter-attack from Life, don't allow them almost to play quickly, I think that could be the type of rugby that helps Lindenwood win in this game. For Life, flip side, try and play quick, try and keep the counter-attack, try and keep that broken play, and then when you are in the 22, the power game comes alive. I would say it's hard to look past Life at home. On that turf field, I've got to put Life in the final. What about you, Alex?
I'm starting to think that Lindenwood is South Africa of 1995, just bashing their way through these games, winning however it happens. Also, Lindenwood's never won a semifinal. They are painfully aware of that. And I think that right now, in terms of it's not horses for courses, it's like jockeys for courses. It's like they know how to handle what's in front of them. I think we might see a surprise there. I think we'll see Lindenwood win.
Love it. I love it. We're now changing our tune.
Yes,
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's good. Look, let's hop over to the West. This is mouthwatering, and I had the joy on my travels over the weekend to make sure that I fully indulged into when Cal took on St Mary's only a few weeks ago at Cal, and looked at their traits. As much as, yes, those quarterfinals, you could say something. CWU game for St Mary's was wild. It was kind of like here, there, and everywhere. There was a lack of control across the board. Now, my thing is obviously Cal won that game 48-45 against St Mary's a few weeks ago. But I think there are a lot of changes from that time. Quite literally, not people, which you're going to mention in a minute, but also just in that game, a yellow card to Don Bisag, obviously one of the key members of St Mary's, really cost them in that second half. I think that was one of the reasons that Cal went on to win. My other thing is St Mary's haven't had it easy in this playoffs. Yes, that game against UCLA was close. Yes, CWU was close. Cal haven't been tested for 2 weeks, Alex. And I just
Yeah.
question within that, is there a form of not complacency, but literally being like that playoff match ready? I know as from a former player, sometimes when you can limp your way through the playoffs through difficulty, when it comes to real knockout time in the semi-finals and finals, you're actually weirdly more ready than if you breeze through it. And I just question for Jack
sure.
Clark's men whether that will be at all in their minds. I watched that game, as I say, a few weeks ago. St Mary's could have easily won that. Cal, meanwhile, they have the confidence. They've had a really good season. They did lose, of course, as we know, to Navy back whenever it was at the beginning of near the beginning of the year. But for you, what do you think of this game? You know, there's some changes. It's going to be tight, whatever the case.
Yeah, I think that syndrome comes down to like little moments. Not Cal as a team will go, oh no, this is close. That's not going to happen. It's going to be like a line out 5 meters from the line that the throw doesn't happen or the lift doesn't happen right,
Right.
or a clearance kick that somebody wants to get it so perfectly he shanks it, or he doesn't find touch on a kick from a penalty because he wants to get 40 meters when he should only get 25. Those little things, I think, can creep into your mind if you're under pressure for the first time in a month,
Yeah.
which is pretty much what we're talking about. And yeah, there are changes. So St. Mary's, the biggest change for me, Sasaya Pongi comes in. He's been hurt at the beginning of the year. He was really impressive to the point I was sitting there going, look, are we nominating him for a Schultz Award? I mean, is he up in the discussion? With the players they have, and he was creating, but he's also very very elusive, like Sia Alpha out on the right wing that they have. He's very much shifty like that. Well, he's back from injury. He played his first full game, and look at what they did. They scored over 50 against Central Washington. He creates. He does these passes that everyone said, please don't do that. And of course, they all work. So what that allows is it allows them to put Klein at fly half. It allows them to put Bisag at outside center. It allows so much more creativity from Mario Storti at fullback. All of these things happen because Pongi is a special player put in at 12.
Really interesting. And actually, just to mention some of the other key names in the St Mary's team, I think that Hunter Modlin at 9 is a really classy operator. He's almost, I think, not undervalued, but maybe overseen when you got someone like Don Basag, Ollie Klein as well. I think he's a really tidy operator at number 10. But there's a couple of players that I really like. They have some dangerous wingers. And Asefa Tuiavau, sorry, trying to get that right. He is such a good finisher. They want to get the ball into their outside channel. So they hold their depth and they use the ability of their playmakers in the midfield. And then they get Basag as well, getting a few one-on-ones outside. That is when they look so dangerous. I also really like the number 8, Lepeti Matu. I think he's also a really strong ball carrier. They're going to need that against Cal. But then on the flip side of things, Cal, and they both play with a lot of ball in hand. They run everything. It's almost in my head, I'm thinking like, guys, you're going to have to bring a kicking game at the weekend. And I've got to say, CWU, actually, against St Mary's did bring a bit of a kicking game. And St Mary's did not really react well to it. The ball hit the floor a lot. They found good territory. And it's something which, if I was Cal and Jack Clark, I would be looking at my Rand Santos number 10 and Solomon Williams and say, hey, don't be afraid to get the territory. I know we're a running team, but in semi-finals footy, have a look at maybe getting that territory. If I look to Cal, as I mentioned, they're a very fit side. They play fast. Solomon Williams at number 9 is a very good operator. He'll tap and go. He'll beat you around the fringe. I'd like him personally to not take that one step and then pass. He makes that step and then that can be his way to attack. Right. But also he takes that, he allows that line speed to get on top of Santos and get on top of the Cal attack. But that Cal attack also has a lot of power that comes through. The likes of someone like their number 8, Yeremia. And I know you're very excited about the number 5 as well in Brian Finley. So talk to me now about Cal. They've had it their own way a lot of this time, a lot of this season. Do they get tested? Can St Mary's turn it round? Or are they just too good?
They have mobility as well in that pack. Actually, that second row for both teams very mobile. Byron Finley, man, he can run, cover a lot of ground. So they can hurt you up the middle. They can take Charlie Walsh, Cade Christ at hooker, fantastic player. They can hurt you that way. What they love to do, you'll see, is that they'll send it wide, usually to the right, where who is it? Kirsten is usually on the right wing, attacking there, and then the plan is to score it back inside channel, 12 or 13, or maybe Williams at 9. So they're sending it out wide, but the plan is not to score in the corner, but pop it back inside and hurt you just a little bit closer to the middle of the field. And for most teams that over pursue, that's great. Bam, done. St. Mary's has been playing Cal for a long time. They're not intimidated by the fact it's Cal, that they get to go. They've won at Whitterfield before, and they've won doing crazy things. Famously taking the mark and doing a quick tap and just running down the sideline. Everybody's like, wait, we're waiting for you to kick it. I'm not going to kick it. Yeah. That was a good one some years ago. I think that the addition of Pongi can help them. You're absolutely right about handling the kicking game. They can't let things roll around and bounce around awkwardly, for sure. The scrum will be a big contest.
Yes,
John Wilson,
on that.
Yeah. John Wilson versus Charlie Walsh. John Wilson, another Schultz Award finalist at prop, and he's so great in those pods in the middle of the field. So I think St. Mary's can do it. Personally, if I'm looking at it, again, what's the work on? Cut down that points against for both teams. It was a 100-point game. What was it? 48, 45. 48-45. So 93 points, and they both gave up over 40 points last week. So really work on what do we do to cut that down and put scoreboard pressure that way.
But you know what it is, Alex? I honestly think these guys play with so much ball in hand. They try anyway, and a lot of the time successful. And they're both fit teams, but maybe that's also where, in their fitness, maybe that's also where they lack in terms of their ability. Like, you do so much attacking, then when you're on the defensive side of things, it's almost like, are you switched on? Are you that little bit fatigued that just allows someone to, like a Williams, like a Modlin, just to be able to sneak as a scrum half around that breakdown and punch through? I think for Cal,
but I'm sorry, both of them have been caught that way, by the way, around the breakdown, like a pickup, and whether it's a forward or a scrum half, and nobody's really worrying about that pillar spot. Both of them have been burned that way.
I think for Cal, if they can bring their power game with then the excitement of Williams around the breakdown and going quickly, keeping it fast. But I want to see Rand Santos step up and punch some corners. I want to see a little bit of territory from Cal, because I think that might be the thing that really helps them, get them into the right areas where St. Mary's think, damn, we've got to run out of here. Because it's the mentality of both teams that they want to run from everywhere. Who can maybe, what I'm trying to say is, control the game the best? I think that's Cal's best chance to really go and win this. But I think, like you just said about St. Mary's, there's something about that team whereby they haven't had it easy. They know how to go to Cal. They will have remembered that game a few weeks ago in that 48-45 loss. And actually, there's plenty. If they move that ball well, if they have those tips off those runners, they don't just run straight into Cal players who are going to bash you. If they do that, keep it alive, keep changing the point of attack, that might be the difference for St. Mary's and for Tim O'Brien, I think, whereby St. Mary's can go to the final.
I think that's very, very possible. I don't know. Cal's more consistent. They've been more consistent all year. But a little additional X factor for St. Mary's, I think, they could do it.
It's going to be fascinating. This weekend, 19th of April, it is, of course, the two semi-finals coming up on the Rugby Network. In the East, you've got Life taking on Lindenwood, and in the West, you will have Cal taking on St. Mary's. To try and book a ticket to Indianapolis on the 3rd of May, which is also on the Rugby Network, the CRAA D1A final. Alex Goff, it's been a pleasure. We definitely want to try and bring you on again before that final in a couple of weeks' time. But it's going to be tight. We don't really know. We are just speculating. From me to you, Alex, all the best. And to those colleges playing the semi-finals, to those fans of those colleges, good luck and enjoy this weekend.